Miraculous past life revelations, 3 prophetic connections that divinely heal love and pain. In the heart of a quaint English village, Sarah felt a heaviness that wrapped around her like a thick fog. As a devoted single mother to her young son, she fought the pain of a failed marriage, each day a step through the shadow of her heartache. Every evening, they gathered on their worn-out couch, hands clasped tightly, and whispered fervent prayers to St. Jude, the beloved patron saint of lost causes. "Help us, dear St. Jude," she would murmur, pouring out her heart. The church bells tolled in the distance, echoing her yearnings for comfort and hope, yet doubts crept into her mind like weeds in a garden. But then, something extraordinary began to unfold in the stillness of the night. Vivid dreams swept over her, illuminating her soul as if guided by a celestial light. She found herself in vast fields of golden wheat, where laughter mingled with the whisper of gentle winds. Night after night, these dreams revealed compelling connections with a past life marked by unfathomable love and sacrifice, a tapestry woven with threads of forgiveness and divine intervention. Through these visions, she encountered the spirit of her late grandmother, a beacon of faith whose selfless acts had nurtured her family and community. "You are stronger than you know," the grandmother's voice rang clear, filling the air with warmth. "Oh, how can this be?" Sarah gasped one night as she awoke from a heartfelt vision. Her grandmother, with radiant light surrounding her, seemed so near, as if she held the power to mend the brokenness in Sarah's heart. Moments like this compelled Sarah to delve deeper into her dreams, each encounter igniting hope yet stirring a conflict within her. The villagers, rooted in skepticism, raised brows as she shared her experiences, casting shadows of doubt on her sacred revelations. And with every curious glance, her heart sank further. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined, Sarah sought solace from her church leaders, but they met her with hushed dismissals. Brushing aside her heartfelt encounters, they diminished her revelations as whims of an anxious mind. In that moment of desperation, she clung to her faith, our prayers a shield against the surging doubt. The collective energy of her church family surged around her like a protective cocoon, strengthening her resolve. As the Sunday service approached, an electrifying sense of expectancy flooded her being. On a day like no other, Sarah stood before her fellow parishioners, a spark ignited in her heart. "God has presented me with signs," she declared, unwavering in her truth. And as she spoke, she felt a warmth encircle her, something divine revealing itself. Suddenly, a brilliance illuminated the church, filling the air with an inexplicable peace. Could this truly be the moment of recognition? The congregation remained still, their breaths hitching as chills coursed through the church. In that sacred silence, a message flickered in Sarah's heart, a revelation that promised to transform their lives. As daylight waned, casting long shadows across the yard, unease lingered deeply in Sarah's chest. Could there be more to this miraculous unveiling? What mysteries awaited her on the horizon? The next chapter of her journey beckoned, leaving her heart racing with anticipation. As the golden sunlight kissed the village, Sarah felt a surge of hope coursing through her veins. The church remained bathed in a tranquil glow, the faint hum of whispered prayers hanging thick in the air. She gazed at her son, his innocent smile shining like a beacon. It was in his joy that she found the strength to press onward, even amid doubts and fears. Would they truly witness a miracle unfold? With trembling hands, Sarah stepped down from the pulpit. She could still feel the warmth of divinity wrap around her, a promise that she wasn't alone. The congregation began to stir, and she noticed the flickering eyes of those who had doubted her journey. Their expressions melded curiosity and apprehension, each heart grappling with the weight of her revelation. In that moment, she drew a breath, knowing that true faith demands courage. Faith is not a leap into the unknown, but it's a step in trust. Sarah spoke softly, the words spilling from her heart like a gentle stream. "We are called to trust in the unseen." With each phrase, she sensed something shift within the congregation, an awakening taking root. Whispers of agreement rippled through the pews, as if the Holy Spirit danced amidst them, healing hearts and weaving connections of belief. Then, a voice from the back broke the stillness. "Can you prove it, Sarah?" show us this miracle you've seen. The challenge hung in the air, an audacious defiance that sent ripples of tension across the room. Yet, Sarah felt an unexpected joy rise within her, a divine assurance. She didn't need to provide proof, she had witnessed enough in her dreams. The love and light that enveloped her were enough. Let me share the stories of love and pain that led me here, Sarah continued, her heart open, each heartbeat a drum of faith. She recounted the tales whispered through her dreams, the fields of wheat, her grandmother's spirit, the sacrifices made for love, and the undying hope that flowed through her family's lineage. The weight of each word seemed to pull the congregation closer, drawing them into her experiences, making them part of a living testament. As she spoke, many shifted uncomfortably in their seats, wrestling with their own beliefs. Could past connections be real? Could they hold the key to healing? A hush settled on the church once more, broken only by soft exhalations that hinted at growing belief. By the end of her testimony, Sarah witnessed tears in the eyes of some. Hope was born anew in their hearts, and she felt uplifted by this transformation. The energy in the church shifted palpably, the very air thrummed with anticipation. In that moment, Sarah sensed something even greater rest on the horizon, an impending rush of divine revelation. Suddenly, her son tugged at her sleeve. "Mummy, look!" He pointed toward the window, where a beam of light streamed through the glass, illuminating a small, aged tapestry tucked away in the corner among the forgotten remnants of the church. "What is that?" A voice called out, intrigue lacing the congregation. The curiosity hung in the air, a collective breath held tight. Sarah's heart raced. What unspoken history lay hidden within that tapestry? As she approached the glow, the weight of the moment pressed around her. Could this be another key to unlocking the mysteries she'd been shown in her visions? With each step, Sarah whispered a silent prayer, her heart full of expectation. Just as she was about to lift the fabric and reveal its secrets, a sudden hush fell over the room. Were they on the brink of discovery, or was it yet another trial? The air crackled with anticipation as she hesitantly reached for the tapestry. Her fingers brushed the tapestry, and a jolt of energy surged through her, a warmth that felt like the embrace of a long-lost friend. It whispered to her spirit, igniting memories buried deep within her that immediately flooded forth. She felt her breath hitch, and the congregation shifted, their gaze fixed upon her in rapt attention. With careful precision, she pulled the tapestry from its resting place. Dust motes danced in the air as it hung before them, revealing its intricate threads woven with images of crops, harvests, and figures in prayerful poses. It was an embodiment of faith, an echo of lives once lived, now woven into the very fabric of their community. "Look closely," Sarah urged, her heart thumping. "These patterns tell a story, one of resilience and connection." The room filled with murmurs as people studied the fabric. "Is that the harvest festival?" Someone whispered, their voice laced with wonder. Others nodded, recalling the gatherings of joy and blessings. "Every thread is a bond," she continued. "It speaks of the prayers said in times of need. It reminds us of the hands that toiled in love, the hands that grieved, and still, the hands that continued to reach for hope." As she spoke, she noticed an elderly woman in the front pew, tears glistening in her eyes. "That's my husband," she exclaimed, pointing to a small figure in the tapestry, embodying a farmer. "He worked these lands with all his heart. I see my grandmother, she used to tell stories about the fields." Another woman exclaimed, overwhelmed with nostalgia and warmth. The atmosphere shifted, filled with acknowledgement of their shared history, weaving unity through their faith. This tapestry was not merely art, it was a message from God, a testament of love that had both endured and triumphed through trials. Yet, amidst the love steeped in memory, an unspoken question surfaced in Sarah's heart. What if this tapestry holds more than stories? What if it also carries the truth of our future? She felt a surge of urgency within her, sensing that this was more than a moment of reflection, it was an invitation to action, to embrace the next chapter together. God's voice calls us through our history and into our future. We must step forward with these memories and build something new, she declared with fervor, her spirit lifted by the power of collective love. A ripple of understanding swept through the room as faces turned, eyes sparkling with possibility. One by one, hearts began to open slowly like flowers preparing to bloom. What if we gather to share our burdens and lay them bare before God? suggested the elderly woman, her voice fragile yet resolute. Yes. Sarah felt the Spirit urging them on, her pulse quickening. What if our pain can be healed through community and our shared stories? What if our miracles are only waiting to be unveiled? A gentle hum of agreement flowed through the pews, community intertwined with faith. They saw the hope that lay ahead, they felt it in their bones. Each soul was preparing for the sacred work that awaited, with the tapestry cradled within her arms. Sarah knew this wasn't just about them, it was about something larger, a divine call to action. But what if, in the depths of our past, we discover hidden truths that reveal the very patterns of goddess love? She pondered, the air pulsed with anticipation, and as the congregation began to murmur excitedly among themselves, Sarah caught a glimpse of the future that beckoned them forward. The approach of a shared miracle loomed large, yet the shadows of doubt still lingered. What would they uncover as they stepped into the light? What revelations waited in the depths of their intertwined histories? Would faith truly lead them to the miraculous? Only time would tell as the tapestry of their lives began to unravel. With each heartbeat echoing in her chest, Sarah remained transfixed by the tapestry. It pulsated with energy, almost as if it were a living being, recalling stories of love and sacrifice, trials and triumphs. The soft murmur around her swelled to a wave of collective hope, igniting an urgency within her to reveal more of its secrets. Let us remember, Sarah encouraged, her voice steady yet vibrant. Together, we belong to a lineage of faith. This tapestry has seen our ancestors cry out to God in desperation and rejoice in His deliverance. An electric thrill ran through the congregation, stirring memories of their own prayers, both uttered in desperation and sung in joy. There was something sacred in that shared experience. Each life woven into the fabric of their community brought a unique thread of faith. The elderly woman who had first recognized her husband began to speak again. "This tapestry holds our prayers," she declared. "Imagine if we gather those prayers again and share them here. Yes. We can tapestry our stories." Another voice chimed in, emboldened by the idea. "Each of us can contribute, showing how God has worked through our lives." Ideas sparked a beautiful collage of voices, each adding to the growing tapestry of their visions. Inspirations flowed like streams of light, bouncing off their hopes. "Let us begin a prayer circle," suggested a young man, his eyes shining with determination. "We can invite everyone to bring their pain and their joy." Deep inside, Sarah felt a stirring vision of what could emerge if they truly laid their burdens before God, embracing vulnerability and strength alike. "We can meet weekly," she added, brushing a stray tear from her cheek. "To lift one another, to tell our stories and through honesty, witness our shared miracles unfold." As the congregation mulled over her words, a peaceful silence settled. Each individual reflected on both their struggles and their blessings. It was a circle of hearts opening wide, ready to delve into the depths of their lives, honoring the past while embracing the future. What if we each shared not only our challenges but also the miracles we've seen? Someone proposed, rekindling the energy in the air. "We can collect them just like the threads in this tapestry." A wave of excitement washed over them. The congregation leaned closer, drawn together by an invisible force, ready to embark on a holy quest. Through faith, they would gather the stories that had quilted their community into one vibrant mosaic. Suddenly, a bright light seemed to envelop the tapestry, illuminating the room with an ethereal glow. Sarah gasped as she noticed the intricate patterns shifting and shimmering, revealing messages hidden in the fabric. "Look!" she exclaimed, pointing toward the luminescent shapes. "Goddess messages are right before our eyes. We just need to understand them." The air thickened with anticipation. Questions danced in Sarah's mind, hopes soaring high. What was the meaning behind the light? What deeper truths awaited them as they delved deeper into their stories? As they stared, transfixed by the radiant beauty of the tapestry, Sarah's heart raced with questions. What lay ahead for them? Would their vulnerability lead them to the miraculous? In this sacred space of revelation, they stood at the threshold of divine understanding, waiting to uncover binding truths of the past and the promise of tomorrow. And with that realization, a divine thought flickered in Sarah's spirit. What if all this was merely the beginning? What awaited them as they dared to explore the unspoken truths woven into their lives? The tapestry shimmered, its divine glow wrapping around Sarah and the congregation like a warm embrace. Each shimmering thread whispered of ancient stories, tales that beckoned to be told once more. With trembling hands, Sarah felt the weight of the moment. They were not simply spectators of the tapestry's beauty but active participants in a living testament of God's presence. As the congregation marveled at the colors dancing in the fabric, Sarah's heart surged with inspiration. "Let us be the hands of God," she announced, her voice rising above the gentle hum of wonder. "Each prayer we share is another thread added to our tapestry. Each testimony, another brushstroke in this sacred picture." A murmur of agreement rippled through the gathering, eyes shining like stars catching the sun. One by one, people began standing up. A young woman with curly hair and freckles stepped forward, her voice quaking yet clear. "I recently came through a storm in my life. I lost my job and was drowning in fear, but God provided for me in ways I never imagined. He opened new doors, and I stand here today, grateful." A wave of nods and smiles spread among the congregation, igniting flickers of belief in hearts that had been heavy. Sarah felt something shift, a collective lifting of burdens. Next, an elderly gentleman rose, leaning slightly on his cane. "Back when I was a child, I prayed for warmth and food, and God sent a stranger my way, who became a friend for life. My faith was born in that moment. I know God hears our cries." His voice trembled with conviction, reverberating through the hearts of those gathered. With each shared story, a thread of light seemed to weave through the room, strengthening the bonds between them. The tapestry pulsed with energy, responding to the prayers and experiences flowing freely. Each word spoken was absorbed into the fabric, deepening its vibrancy. "Let us listen closely," Sarah said softly, glancing at the radiant tapestry. "What more is God revealing through these stories? How does He want to guide us ahead?" From the back, a mother with tear-filled eyes stood, clasping her hands. "I dealt with grief after losing my child. There were days I felt completely lost. But God comforted me through unexpected friendships and moments of grace. Now I share love with others in His memory." Her voice broke into a gentle sob, yet even in her sorrow, there was a gleam of hope. As each voice joined the chorus, Sarah sensed the air thickening with the power of collective faith. They were not merely recounting stories, they were building a haven of shared experiences, a place where the past intertwined with the present. The luminous tapestry beckoned them closer, every shimmer reflecting their healing and their shared future. There was something wondrous about their combined strength, a cushion of hope molded from vulnerability. As Sarah moved to touch the tapestry, she could almost feel the ancient stories ripple beneath her fingers. "Think of the people we can reach," she said, a new fire igniting in her spirit. "What if we take this beyond our walls? What if we spread these stories, our shared miracles, into the world? They could heal others too." Excitement fluttered throughout the room. Ideas bounced among the congregation, dreams of outreach sparking with fervor. Each suggestion was a new thread in their collective tapestry, yet, even amidst the joy, a heavy weight lingered in the air, a question hovering like the muted buzz of a bee. What truths lay hidden still? What stories were yet to be unearthed? As thoughts danced in her mind, Sarah felt the tapestry hum softly beneath her touch, inviting her to probe deeper. What revelations awaited them in their quest for understanding? Would they find light in their shared pain? In unison, hearts began to beat with a singular longing, to explore, to experience that which God promised beyond the shimmering threads, waiting patiently to be woven into their lives. The air in the room thickened, a palpable energy weaving between the congregants, threading hearts and spirits closer as everyone leaned into the moment. Sarah could feel the weight of anticipation, not just her own but the yearning of every soul present. They were all poised at the cusp of divine revelation. With renewed vigor, she called out, "What if we lean into our stories with even greater openness? What if every prayer not only binds us together but becomes a seed planted in the world around us?" Her words hung heavy in the air, inviting further vulnerability. Across the circle, a young man with kind eyes stepped forward. "I've always felt alone in my battles," he said earnestly. "But during a recent crisis, I felt God's presence more than ever. I was in the pit, and when I reached out, my cries were answered by the love of this community." He gestured around the room, and many nodded in quiet agreement. "Each of you was a glimpse of hope that pulled me back from despair." His voice wrapped around them, a gentle reminder of God's hand at work through each act of love. Sarah saw the sparks of renewed faith ignite as others began to share their hearts, brightening their collective spirit like glowing embers of a far-reaching fire. An older woman, her face lined with life's trials, stood next. I spent years searching for my purpose, feeling as though I was walking in the darkness. But it was here, among you, that I began to see the light. God used my past to shape me, to guide me to this very moment. It feels like I am living proof of the tapestry's promise, woven, yet whole. As she spoke, tears brimmed in her eyes, spilling softly onto her cheeks, mingling with the gentle acceptance of the congregation. The weight of shared experiences felt less like a burden and more like armor, shielding them against the storms of life. Each testimony danced within the shimmering threads of the tapestry, transforming into rays of healing light. They weren't just stories, they were revelations steeped in glory. Suddenly, Sarah noticed a faint vibration coming from the tapestry itself. She reached out, her fingertips brushing against the fabric. The tapestry seemed alive, pulsing in response to their words. It was an invitation, a call to delve deeper into the shared soul of their existence. What if God's stories, she pondered aloud, are not only for our ears but meant to echo throughout the world? What if, through our own pain and joy, we could awaken the spirits of others? A chorus of whispers grazed her ears. Enthusiasm bubbled as the congregation began to imagine the impact they could make. It was as if a veil had been lifted. Hope surged in the hearts present, merging into a singular cry, a devotion fueled by the promise that God had never forgotten them. Then, from the corner, a quiet voice broke through. A teenager, usually reserved, had stepped forward, apprehensive yet bold. I've been struggling with doubt. I wondered if God even cared about me. But now I see you all, connected and brave. It's like a light switch turned on in me. I want to believe again. The congregation erupted in support, their hearts swelling with joy. They encircled him, inviting both his courage and his uncertainty into the fabric of their community. With newfound boldness, their presence enveloped the young boy, reflecting the very essence of God's love. Let us not stop here, Sarah said, her voice resonating with purpose. Let us commit to sharing this tapestry, woven with our lives, with those who are outside these walls. There are those who ache for connection, who need to know they are not alone. We have the power to change lives. In their hearts, something shifted profoundly. God's whispers grew louder, punctuating their resolve, as unspoken hope sat poised on the brink of action. They felt a charge in the room, swirling like a whirlwind, as they prepared for the next phase of their journey together. But even with all this excitement, the question lingered: what obstacles would they face as they ventured beyond their walls? What truths were still waiting to be uncovered, hidden in the stories yet untold? With those thoughts lingering, anticipation soared. The tapestry pulsed in synchrony with their hearts, beckoning them toward a new chapter, a journey crackling with promise and mystery. What awaited them on the road ahead? As the congregation's energy swirled in the sacred space, Sarah paused, letting the vibrant anticipation wash over her like a warm tide. The tapestry seemed to glow more brightly with each heartbeat, wrapping them in an unbreakable bond. Her eyes sparkled, reflecting both wonder and determination. Let us take a moment to pray, she suggested, and a hush fell over the group. Heads bowed, and hands reached for one another, creating a chain of connection. They offered their hopes, fears, and gratitude to the divine, weaving their intentions into the fabric of the moment. In silence, Sarah's heart danced between comfort and challenge. What awaited them needed more than just words, it required action, faith and motion. As the prayer rose like incense, she felt God's presence rest heavy upon them, a gentle reminder that they were not moving alone. Suddenly, a voice broke through. This time it was a woman from the back, a single mother with tired eyes that held countless stories of resilience. I've been afraid to step out of my comfort zone, she admitted. It's as if the world has always told me that my struggles are too much to bear. But today, I feel different. I want to be part of that bigger tapestry. Her words hung, still fresh and expectant, as the crowd buzzed with encouragement. The ripple of support was undeniable, like a wave crashing upon a shore. Each heart opened wider, allowing vulnerability to flow freely. Sarah could see it, the transformation one soul igniting another, their shared stories emerging as flames that could not be extinguished. Moved by the revelation, Sarah spoke again. Every step we take in faith, no matter how small, can reach someone in darkness. But how do we share our light? How do we show those longing for connection that hope truly exists? As she posed the questions, the room pulsed with thought. Her gaze fell upon the tapestry, and she questioned it silently. What if this is more than just a physical representation? What if it carries messages, files of experience waiting to be heard? Can it guide our steps? A young woman nearby, captivated, raised her voice. What if we write our stories down? If they are our powerful testimonies, shouldn't they be shared with those who have never seen their reflections in us? The congregation responded with excitement, ideas bubbling like a pot overflowing. Yes. Let us create a book together, suggested someone else. One that tells how God transformed our struggles into stories of triumph. As the chatter grew, one person quieted them with a thought. But what if that takes vulnerability we've not yet shown? What if the stories are too raw? Heads nodded in understanding. They were about to embark on a deeper journey, and with it, exposed pieces of their hearts. But when had the way of faith ever been about easy choices? Walking through shadows had only ever been lit by courageous acts of love. With a determined smile, Sarah continued, every scar tells a story. The truth is, every one of us has wounds that have shaped who we are today. They have purpose. What if sharing those can open doors for others to receive healing? The room fell into a sacred silence, pregnant with contemplative spirit. Eyes glistened with the haze of both hope and fear. In that instant, they felt a challenge rising within them, the spirit of authenticity inviting them to step further into their testimonies. As they exchanged encouraging glances, something new ignited. Fear turned to resolve. Together, they collected the threads of their lives, each person committing to share their unique piece. A bond woven tighter, a movement birthed from a collective resolve. But just as clarity surged among them, a shadow flickered at the edges of their hearts. What would it truly mean to bare their souls? What truths would be unearthed along the way? The tapestry pulsed, responding to their questions, as if whispering promises of grace and healing yet to unfold. Together, they poised on the brink of adventure, eager but uncertain. As the congregation clasped hands once more, a stirring in their hearts echoed. What if their narratives changed not only their lives but the world around them? What lay just beyond the horizon waiting to be revealed? As the golden light streaming from the stained glass windows mingled with the soft flicker of candles, a palpable sense of expectancy hung in the air. The congregation, now leaning into their commitment to share their stories, felt an undeniable lift, like leaves stirred by a gentle spring breeze. Each heartbeat in unison, as though the very walls of the space were alive, echoing the truth of their unity. Let us take this leap together, Sarah urged, her voice cascading over the assembly like comforting rain. What if we create a safe space here tonight? A sanctuary where we can lay our truths bare, a place where healing flows freely through our words? Around the circle, nods and murmurs surged like ripples on a pond, each face reflecting the courage sparked by vulnerability. Encouraged by their collective energy, Sarah looked toward the woman who had voiced her fears earlier. Will you start us off? She asked gently, drawing everyone as focused to the single mother ready to step into the light. The woman took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with the weight of untold stories. I've always felt invisible, like my struggles were too small for anyone to notice. But they are mine. Her voice trembled, filled with both hesitation and resolve. I faced hardships raising my children alone. Sometimes, I come to the end of my rope, emotionally and financially. The nights were long and dark. Tears spilled as she continued, but I realized that my stories could help others. One day, I found a way to share my burden with God. I prayed for strength, and slowly, He gave me new eyes to see my struggles as part of my journey, not my identity. A hush enveloped the room, each word carving faith into the souls present. A collective breath held reverently for the sacredness of her testimony. Those moments not only revealed her past, they illuminated the path of hope for others entangled in their own hardships. I want to help others, she added softly, to show them they can break free from the chains of despair. So, she looked around with rising resolve. I'm willing to write my chapter of this book, to share my journey, in hopes it can inspire and lift others. An embracing wave of applause filled the air, hearts swelling with admiration. Sarah, buoyed by this shared light, encouraged others to share their stories. One by one, brave souls began to carve their truth into space. Each recounting, inching closer to collective healing. A few years back began a man with a gentle voice. I lost my father. He was my rock, my guide in faith. I spiraled into a dark place. But in that depth of pain, I found the strength to dive deeper into God's embrace. Grief transformed into gratitude for the time we shared. The room swayed with emotion, and many felt their own stories resonate within those shared threads. As more voices rose, others added to their stories, weaving a richer, deeper tapestry and intricate design stitched with heartache and hope, shattering the silence of despair that had once cloaked each life. Sarah stood in awe at the transformation. God is doing something here, friends. Look at how our stories ignite hope. The collective realization birthed a wondrous energy. But soon, a question lingered like an uninvited guest, demanding attention. Would their raw truths bring healing? Could the process amplify their pain or showcase divine redemption? Silence filled the room anew as individuals grappled with their own doubts, the space thick with anticipation. Sarah felt it stirring, an undercurrent of something holy, an invitation to dig even deeper. Let us trust the journey. We may not know the end of this chapter yet, but what if her eyes sparkled with curiosity? What if it leads us to something miraculous? A love that binds wounds together like the threads of our tapestry? An electric excitement pulsed through the congregation. They stood on the verge, hearts wide open and ready to embrace whatever divine revelations awaited, and as they clasped hands once more, a question lingered like a whisper on the winds of their gathering. What miraculous connections might reveal themselves as they bravely journeyed into the depths of their souls? The air hung thick with anticipation as the gathering melded into silence. Sarah glanced around the circle, her heart racing with both exhilaration and trepidation. It was one thing to share stories, but quite another to peel back layers of pain and hope woven together by the threads of faith. Let us keep going, Sarah encouraged gently. Let us dig deeper. Who else feels a stirring in their hearts? It was then that a man, deep-set lines tracing his face, shifted nervously in his seat. His name was David, and his hands trembled slightly as he took a step into the light. I suppose I'm next. His voice, though quiet, held a resonance that pulled everyone's attention. I bear the weight of choices that haunt me. I lost the trust of someone I loved, a sister. Years ago, I let pain blind me, and drove her away. The fractures still ache. His voice caught, and Sarah felt the room grow heavy with empathy. She needed my support, but I made it all about me. My wounds, my battles. I didn't see hers. I've carried that guilt. But each prayer pulls me to grace. I realized maybe redemption starts when I acknowledge my failure, when I face the hurt I caused. David's honesty ignited a spark. Around the circle, people nodded, recognizing their truths reflected in his journey. It was proof of how interconnected their struggles could be. Forgiveness isn't easy, he continued, a determined glint in his eye. But I believe it can heal wounds if we're brave enough to seek it. I believe my relationship isn't lost forever. A murmur of agreement danced through the room, more stories waiting to break free, eager for the light. Sarah felt the atmosphere shift, an electric realization surfacing. What if our stories intertwine, not just for our own healing, but as a shared journey toward redemption? David's struggle is not just his, it could be a beacon for someone else here tonight. As if triggered by her words, another woman spoke up. I've felt lost without direction. 2 years ago, I lost my job. I swept through despair, feeling like I was tumbling in darkness. But I began to pray for clarity, and slowly it came. I found an old passion for art, and it helped paint my faith back into life. Her voice trembled slightly but strengthened amid the chorus of affirmations. Art became my refuge, a way to reconnect with myself and God's grace. And now, I want to create a piece reflecting our stories. A collective art piece that binds us, celebrating our healing. Gasps of excitement filled the air. The vision of a masterpiece blossoming from this sacred gathering stirred a vibrant sense of belonging. But beneath the enthusiasm, an undercurrent of uncertainty weaved through the hearts present. Would the act of sharing, of painting their truths, lead them to something greater? Could it restore what seemed irretrievably lost? Encouraged by the warmth enveloping the space, Sarah felt emboldened to ask the assembly, what if, through every brushstroke and each spoken word, we craft a testament of our journeys? A piece that reveals the divine threads stitching us together? The question hung palpably, resonating through the gathering. Nervous but hopeful eyes searched one another's faces, the potential to heal stretching out like soft, glowing hands. I believe we're on the brink of something wonderful, Sarah said softly, her spirit uplifted by shared dreams. But what if this journey reveals not just our brokenness, but divine connections we can't yet see? What if we uncover miraculous intersections of faith and love as we walk together? The room buzzed with the thrill of possibility, a collective heartbeat pulsing in rhythm with their hope. They were all primed for transformation, stepping toward the unknown with hearts wide open, and so, they clasped hands again, uniting spirit and intent, ready to dive deeper into a tapestry of revelations. As they began to share what they felt each needed most, one thing stayed clear: the miracles weren't just waiting at the end, they were unfolding right here, right now, in the sacred space they were creating. What divine connections awaited? Discovery as they surrendered their stories to each other? As the candles flickered gently, the promise of transformation lingered, an invitation to step further into the unknown. With sacred anticipation pulsing through the church, Sarah felt the divine presence wrap around her, a warm embrace that assured her they were not alone. The tapestry beckoned them to explore the stories woven within its threads, tales waiting to be shared and understood. Each heart surged with the possibility of healing, the kind that could mend not just the individual but the entire community. Friends, she began, her voice steady yet infused with emotion, we stand on the edge of something remarkable. Our conversations tonight could be the foundation of the miracles we've prayed for. Let us not hold back our truths any longer. An elder woman, who had remained quiet until now, rose with palpable resolve. My journey has been filled with shadows. For years, I wandered, lost in bitterness after being let down by those I loved. But as I sit here among you, I see hope reflected in your stories. Tears glistened in her eyes. I want to forgive. Not just for them but for myself, to break this chain of pain. Would you pray with me? A chorus of heartfelt amens echoed through the church, hands clasped tighter as they prayed for reconciliation and healing. The air thickened with a divine presence, the weight of their collective desire to heal palpable. As the prayer subsided, Sarah noticed a shimmer from the tapestry, like ripples across a shimmering pond. Look! She exclaimed, captivated. As we share our burdens, it seems to respond. The women's voices intertwined in soft gasps of awe as the tapestry emanated a gentle glow, sparking wonder in hearts. What does this mean? A young man whispered, the room leaning in closer, bodies almost pulsing with divine anticipation. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. It means we are connected. In our shared narratives lies the power to impact lives beyond these walls. Every story is a thread that strengthens our tapestry. A young woman stepped forward, her voice trembling. I long to feel worthy after years of feeling like a failure. But God has shifted my heart, showing me that our past does not define us. I want to write my truth for the book to celebrate both my journey and the grace that continues to shape me. Cheers erupted around the room, their voices mingling like a chorus of angels. Each shared testimony ignited sparks of recognition. People began to unfold their layers, revealing bonds formed through pain and triumph. One by one, they rose, letting go of years of silence. An elderly gentleman spoke of his regrets in nourishing relationships that had faded over time. A gentle mother shared her fears of inadequacy, recounting moments when she thought she might fail her children. Each voice resonated through the sacred space, cemented by the presence of the divine. As the night wore on, a tapestry took form, not just of fabric but of bonds created through vulnerability and light. Each story added texture, depth, colors, and warmth to what emerged a living testament of hope and healing. Finally, as the congregation sat in awe, Sarah knew the moment had arrived, the culmination of all their prayers and intentions. Let us create a space of connection beyond our gathering. What if we take these stories out into the world? What if we could host a community festival, inviting others to share their journeys, just like we have? The room erupted into applause. The idea took root swiftly, blooming with enthusiasm. They sat in a cocoon of hope, their collective spirit fueled by divine energy, creating a sanctuary that extended beyond its walls, ready to welcome others seeking healing. As people began to brainstorm ideas, Sarah felt the tapestry buzzing softly beneath her fingers. The glow was brighter now, each thread vibrating with the energy infused through their transformations. She gazed down, and for a moment, she could almost hear whispers of generations past echoing through their stories, a holy connection woven together in the fabric of time. With deep breaths in unity, they committed to sharing their miraculous journey, multiplying the touch of Goddess love that had come alive in their hearts. And just as the last candle flickered against the backdrop of fading twilight, Sarah realized the truth in her spirit. This was not merely a moment, but a movement. They had begun to unravel the divine connections of faith, love, and hope, a tapestry that would continue to grow, interwoven by each prayer, each shared story, destined to inspire countless others. As they clasped hands once more in a final prayer, Sarah smiled, knowing without a doubt that their stories were only just beginning, ready to touch and heal lives far beyond what they could see. The journey ahead awaited. This was their divine invitation to rise and share the miracle of love, hand in hand, walking forward into the light. Now, friends, I urge you, do not let this moment pass without action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to ensure you don't miss the next wave of faith stories that will transform lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this hope-filled message. Comment down below with your reactions and testimonies about this beautiful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this magnificent manifestation of faith. Show your support and let the world know that only true servants of God understand the importance of sharing these messages. You need to take action now.